everybody. Welcome to Destination Jackpot. So, Jean Scott, better known to so many as the Queen of Comps, has helped thousands of casino players stretch their dollars, play smarter, and unlock the best perks the casinos have to offer. So, let's move on to comps because you are the Queen of Comps, Miss Jean. So, how important were comps to yours and Brad's success?
Well, I am called the Queen of Comps. And you know who gave me that nickname was Dan Rather when Brad and I were on 48 Hours. So if Dan Rather gives you a nickname, you rather think, I may keep that.
Yep.
And so I have. And it seemed to resonate with my fan base because I do talk about comps almost more than I do pay tables or anything else. Because comps, and then if you're a real newbie, probably you're not if you're watching this podcast, but comps stands for complementaries. If something is giving to you complementarily, it's free. Now, doesn't everybody like free things? Of course we do. And the reason that comps are so important, particularly nowadays, used to be some of the games that we actually played, like the first game we played in video poker was a Deuce's Wild schedule that was 100.7 return. We didn't have to have anything else. We were winning on that without anything. Nowadays, you don't have those good pay tables. Even if you find the best jacks or better, which is 9-6, that's only 99.5. That's not 100%. In the long term, you will lose. So how do you play as an advantage on a machine that isn't 100%? It's the comps that you add. Within that is, I also call the slot club benefits, which is a comp. We would play for a month at a casino when we lived in Vegas, and they would send us an email or our inbox that they would give us if we came and played every week on Monday. They would give us $100. Well, now that's a comp. That's something free they're giving you.
And, that's what brought me to you all those years ago was the comps and learning how to do that. And I have studied your books and followed your writings through the years. And really, that's how I've learned. And that's why we started this YouTube channel was because I wanted to reach people. I see so many people in the casino that don't understand about using the player card or setting goals or maximizing the comps. And we wanted to help people be able to do that. And that all goes back to you, Jean, truly. That's the reason that we're here and trying to continue that legacy from all the things that we've learned and paying that forward. So I thank you for that. So what's the most memorable comp that you've ever received? Can you think of one or two?
We've had literally hundreds of thousands down through the 40 years. Just a pure comp. We would get suites instead of just regular rooms because we played back in those years. We were playing big. Actually, we first started out and we just played Porter video poker, and we were called low rollers. And then we were so successful at quarters, we went to 50 cents, dollar, then $5. Then when multi-line video poker came out, we would play up to $50, $100, even $250, and so forth. And people would say, "Oh dear, you're low rollers. You're not low rollers anymore." Well, for us, we were low rollers. We weren't whales, but we did go up in denomination. But because we were successful and we could play so much higher, then the comps really got so much. I remember one time that we were playing at a casino in California, one of the Indian casinos in California, and the host knew that we were playing big. And remember, the Caesars keeps a history of your play. That's one reason why I'm getting such good offers now, they're looking back and say, well, you used to play really big. You're not playing as big as you used to. Maybe you'll go back to that. I don't know. My history helps. But one time at this Indian casino in California, we were in San Diego. The host said, would you like a sightseeing tour of San Diego? And I said, well, yeah, we've never been here before. And so we were with friends. And so they got a limo for us that we had for the whole day. And they took us down to all sorts of places, parks and sightseeing things. And we had that limo driver at our disposal for all day long. Now, that was really nice. I talked about getting sweets. In fact, more recently, we went to Tahoe and had some of the same sweets that we had back 20 years ago because they hadn't updated the things. We would have suites. There would just be Brad and me, and we would have two bedrooms, and in the middle, and there would be a living room with one had a piano in it, one had a pool table in it. And Brad, especially as he got older, he was getting a little hard of hearing. And I would be at one end of this suite and he would be at the other end. And I was, I chat with him all the time. He'd say, never mind chatting. I'm over here. I can't even hear you. It was so big, you know. But probably the ultimate suite for us was I had a host that did so much for me. When she retired, I cried, let me tell you. She heard that I was going to come and bring my grandchildren, who were teenagers at the time. And she said, do you think they would like to stay in the Rain Man suite? I don't know if you've seen the movie The Rain Man, but this is a kind of a famous movie where they were in a Caesar's suite that was 2 stories and they had this long stairway up from one to the top things and so forth. I says, well, we'd love to. And so we had the Rain Man, the suite that they had filmed the Rain Man in, this double-decker suite and bedrooms everywhere and that sort of thing. So that was nice.
Which property was that?
Caesar's Palace.
Okay.
Caesar's Palace, Rainman Suite. Yeah, I
Oh,
should have
wow.
mentioned that.
Wow.
And then one of the big comps were cruises. Cruised a lot in our relationship, but casinos, we had at least a dozen cruises. We've been all over South America and Central America and the Mexico, cruising to Europe. We've cruised the Mediterranean. And some of the nowadays, they're more discounted cruise. Used to be they were all expense paid. They even paid the tips that we were supposed to do and so forth. You know what? Why I want to mention comps. Brad and I were very middle class. He worked for the government. I was a teacher. We didn't make much money. I mean, we made a good income to support ourselves, but we weren't rich by any means. So you think about all these comps. When we were living in Vegas the last 20 years, particularly when we lived there, first 20 years we flew there from our home in Indianapolis. If you think about this, and then we were retired, if you get comps for all your living expenses, you can save your money that you're making as your regular income, or vice versa. You can use your money for all your that you make ordinarily for your expenses, and that you can save what you make gambling.
Right.
So anyway, comps keep you from taking money out of your pocket
Correct.
to
Yeah.
pay for things. Actually, you couldn't afford to
Right.
take that much out of your pocket. Now, you have to be careful here that you don't lose so much. Once in a while, somebody will say to me, oh, yeah, I love comps. I lost $300 to get this $25 buffet. That's not good.
That's
you
not
can't,
good.
you have to be wise in what you do.
And I think
But
that's
comps
really
are so important.
I think that's really a really important point here, Jean, is that you don't want to spend $5,000 to get $1,000 in comps, and so you really want to watch that, and that's where this advantage play or this picking the right machines and having realistic expectations on your losses, right? Setting those goals kind of
Correct.
comes into mind, for
Yes.
sure. How do you think today comps today versus back in the day? Are they better, worse, or just different?
Not nearly as good. When the recession hit, things changed. The casinos brought in what we call the bean counters, and they said, "You're giving away too much. You're giving it away." Well, it was hard on us advantage players because they could spot us. They had ways, software that was revealing, and they said, "You're giving too many comps. They're winning money from you. You know, you should be giving money." That's what's happening now with AI. It's scary. Playing as an advantage player now is very hard to do
It
because they
is.
can spot you. "I'll give you $600 to come play at my casino." No, I don't need to give you $600. You're going to come anyway and you're going to beat us to death. You know, in
Yeah.
fact, some video pokers have been barred from playing at certain casinos.
Oh, wow, I didn't
And it
realize
used to be
that.
just the table players that was that way. You still can use a host. The problem is the hosts used to have a wide range of things they could give out. Nowadays, they would like to give you more and they can't because they're limited by the bean counters.
Yeah, I do think that as well, but I have found, the hosts that we've worked with, we used to be luckier with our hosts. We don't have as many hosts now they're not the same as they used to be, let's say it that way. But
No,
I think
because they're under pressure
they are, they
from
are.
from the
Uh,
bosses. Yeah.
once you build your relationship with those hosts, I found just through talking with them that they will try to help you in any way that they can,
Much as they can.
much as they
And talking to a host is always better than not talking to a host. They always have some authority to give you something. It's
right.
just not as much as it used to be.
Right. They
And I've had,
qualify. And I wanna say this because we were in Lake Tahoe and, one of the ladies that worked there, she said, "Oh, I gotta go talk to this host that just got a brand new card, and she's a gold player, and she wants a free room for the night, and she just started playing." That's not gonna work, right? So I wanna be very clear for that. You have to show play history. They have to see that you're gonna be a big player, and then you start qualifying for comps. You gotta build those relationships. It's a process. You're not gonna just be able to go into a casino, sign up for a player's card. Even me at 7 stars and at a lot of places that I can match, I still gonna have to prove myself if I go to some of these other brands. And so that I wanna get that point across for sure.
I want to mention this book, which is the second book I wrote, More Frugal Gambling. It was the one that we talked about, that list of
Yes.
how much it costs to play each game. This covers comps. In fact, this is very famously known as the best book on getting comps in a casino if you play machines. And honestly, you can find one hint in there among the thousands of hints on how to use the comp system. My
And you
first
also have this new book, or newer book, The Frugal Gambler Casino Guide.
Right, right. Just to go over it, this is my first book, The Frugal Gambler. But this More Frugal Gambling, you are really getting your money's worth from this, even though it's an older. Now, you just mentioned my latest one. We decided so much had changed. I just wrote a new book with all the updated things, and this is very, very updated. And this doesn't just cover slots or video poker. It covers every single bet in the casino,
Yeah.
except maybe I don't know that I do poker, but live poker, but craps. And it tells you how a simple thing, how you can play that game better. Not a big thing you have to study. And that's the thing. And sometimes just knowing two sentences will tell you. And this is what you need to go into a casino now. And if you want to find a little advantage, a little value, it'll give you a value for each one.
So I have read the books. I've gotten so much information, so much of it that I try to bring to you guys all the time. If you've read Gene Scott's book, tell us the favorite one that you've read. And if not, you guys go out and get these books and come back and let us know which is your favorite. And maybe a nugget or two that you get out of them and share with us because they really are worth their weight in gold. And like you said, you're going to get way more value out of these books. I mean, this brand new one is the price on the back is 16.95. I mean, it's, $17 and you're going to get so much more value out of that. I mean, even how to play table games and up your average. I mean, you covered that in these books. There's just so much information. So, last question on this topic. Do you advise sticking with one brand or diversifying? So, meaning like a Caesars or a Golden Nugget or an MGM.
From the very beginning, like I was talking about Vegas a lot then when there wasn't so many casinos all over, I always said establish yourself at one casino. Or in the case now that we have umbrella companies a lot like Caesars, MGM, establish your place and do some major play. In fact, a little hint is go in the first time when you're going into a casino, if you want to establish yourself there, and play the biggest that you've ever. Don't go over your bankroll, but play a long time and with the biggest bankroll that you can afford, and then sit back and wait and see what offers come in your
Yes.
email. After you've established yourself in one place, then you can pick up. Now, what's good, remember this gambling buddy thing? Sometimes one of us would establish at one place and the other one would establish at another place, and we would keep separate there for a while before we went together. And even if you both joined the slot club, the host will look at both of your play. So that's not a problem.
Yes. So I always recommend to find your first and start with that. Like, so if you're closer to a Caesars or closer to an MGM where you're going to visit the most frequently, pick that, get that to where you want it, and then see if you're comfortable moving on to the next. But I think a lot of people miss out on comps when they go to this casino brand and then this casino brand and then this, and they're diluting so much their play. They're not getting any really good concentrated offers anywhere. So that's always my advice is to pick your brand, go as far as you can with that to where you want to be before you branch out. Because otherwise you're just diluting, you're diluting your play across the others. So that's kind of
Right. And for one thing, you've got, after you establish yourself, you want to keep playing to going, and it depends on how much time you have. Do you have time to go to six different casinos? Some people say, well, I just want to go here and play a little bit at every place. And like you say, it dilutes it. You don't get established anywhere.
that's
So it's a
right.
good idea.
Back in the day when Mike and I had no money but 5 kids and we wanted to travel, we used Caesars. We read your books and we used Caesars properties to travel across the United States. Our son was in the military, so we would go across the United States, staying in casinos along the way on our road trip to go over to see him, or we'd go up to Nashville and we'd stop across the casinos on the way instead of paying 200 or, a night for a hotel room. And we had some fun and made some memories. And that's kind of how we started. But we chose Caesar's properties because at that time they had more properties across the United States. Well, now MGM's kind of coming up and competing for that. And some would argue right now that MGM comps they've really stepped it up. I think in some ways they're, in my opinion, are surpassing Caesars a little bit. And they have more updated properties where Caesars is falling behind a little bit on that, but I see them making an effort to come forward. And just a quick note, we're not going to elaborate on it, but Caesars did just come out with a brand new credit card that also has some good ways to, if you're playing actively and don't want to spend, we have videos on that where we talk about credit card spend and how you can earn tier credits and status with casinos. Used to be MGM had a better program for that. Now I see Caesars kind of edging into that. But we're going to run on and not have time to get to everything. So I want to move on to our real life stories and casino fun because I know you have so much to share. So not everything is about math. Sometimes it's just about fun. You want to talk about that just a little bit, Jean? I think you had a fun story with your gambling buddy.
I have different goals now. And so I am looking for more fun things to do. And I mentioned Susan, my gambling buddy. She doesn't like to lose money. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And if she loses $20, she cries. So when we go to a casino together, we use that technique that I talked about. We'll sit down. She likes Wonder Woman. And I kind of like the Wonder Woman. That's the old fashioned slots with Wonder Woman. I'm a retro girl. And we sit beside each other and go back and forth. And she plays a while and I play a while. And sometimes she'll come and watch me play Dream Card. But then after I lose a couple $1,000 on Dream Card, she says, I think we'll go back to Wonder Woman, or I'll go back to Wonder Woman because we play the very minimum there and we can play for an hour on usually less than $100.
Wow, that's funny. So I like Wonder Woman too. And sometimes it is nice to take a little break and find that, fun machine that just kind of gives you a break. You don't have to think too much. So that's fun.
And of course, the dream card, that's my fun. That's my fun thing now to do. And you mentioned the excitement. There's something about that dream card comes up often enough, and it just gives you that little extra bump of excitement. An hour playing dream card is just one of the most exciting hours I can have in a casino.
I'm right there with you. I really am enjoying it. Where I didn't totally enjoy just regular video poker that much. The dream card gave me just that little bit of excitement. So I enjoyed it. And I'm willing to take a little bit less pay table to have the fun. So I know you've been traveling a little bit since you had brain surgery and you got through Brad's passing. I know that was so difficult, but I've seen some of your trips. Do you have any recent casino trips that stand out or any that you're really looking forward to?
Well, since I moved to Georgia, this was a big change. I used to live right in Las Vegas, so I could play every day. And so now I'm in Georgia, which is kind of like my nearest good casino is at Cherokee or Biloxi. These are like 4.5, 5 hours drive. And most of the trips I've been taking now have been airplane trips on Caesar charters. But I tell you, some of my fun trips now, in fact, most of them are with friends or with family. A recent one I had with my daughter and son in law. Angela is the frugal princess that some people know about, that I've written about in my books. And Steve is a retired Army Ranger. And so they both like casinos. And so we took the air charter to Atlantic City. And then my granddaughter lives just about an hour away from those casinos. So she drove up with her partner, and we had a nice family reunion, all gone to Tahoe and done the sightseeing together and the playing in the casinos. So I'm really using my casino trips as family trips, which give it an added benefit for me.
I love that. I love that. Mike and I just got back from Tahoe. We went by ourselves, but it was so much fun. We went during the celebrity golf tournament. There was so much to do. Saw the comedy show, saw a great concert outside. And I said, next year we're bringing the family because that is the perfect, to us, that's a perfect place. And there's so much entertainment for everybody. And it's so affordable to rent a boat there for a day. And that lake is just so amazing. So I'm right there with you. I love bringing the family in on that. So just a real quick personal thing. So is Angela really the frugal princess? Is she frugal like her mom?
In a different way, but
Okay.
yes, she knows how to look for an advantage, you know.
You've taught her well. And Steve's learning too.
Steve thinks video poker is boring. He's a slot player or a roulette player and just having fun. But you know what? He is getting so many points, Caesar's points, that he's getting a lot of the comps. And when we go on these charter trips, he doesn't play near as much as I do and doesn't have the long history I do, but he's getting the same charter invitations too.
That
So there's a lot to be said for that.
he might enjoy our slot play on our channel. You should share it with him. He might enjoy that.
I will. I will. Yeah.
Do a lot of that. Well, that's fun. So, can you share a favorite Vegas story that you and Brad had? One of your favorites.
Brad was always right beside me. Whatever I was doing, he was doing. One of the biggest things that happened to us, this was a comp. Actually, it was at Caesar's Palace, and they were having the biggest $1 million slot tournament, the biggest they had ever had. And so we got an invitation. Not everybody got an invitation to that. So that was the invitation was a comp, and probably, well, not probably, it was the best financial thing that ever happened to us in a casino. We had to pay to enter the tournament, but not everybody could do it. You know, you had to be invited. So we went in with another couple, our best friends, because the buy-in was $10,000.
Wow.
We said, let's do this together. We'll each pay $5,000. And so it was a slot tournament, but one person out of the group had to be chosen to do the actual tournament, you know, playing the machines. Well, we all decided that Brad was the fastest on that. You don't have to think about that. You just have to play fast. So he was the fastest. And so he played and he had pretty good scores. And we thought, well, we probably made some money in this one. So on the day of the tournament dinner, when it was all finished, long and short, we won first prize a
Wow.
$500,000.
Woo. Wow. And when was that? What year? Do you remember?
It's been about 10 years ago, I think. I'm not
Well,
sure.
that's a lot. I mean, for back then, 10 years ago, even. And it's still a lot today, but that 10
Yeah,
years ago
yeah,
was really a lot, right?
yeah,
Wow,
right.
that's crazy. I guess I had heard that story or maybe read it. I don't think so. That's so cool. That's fun. So speaking of fun, have you ever hit multiple royal flushes in one session on the same machine? That was a question Mike wanted me to ask.
We have. I remember one time this was at the old Frontier before it was blown up. Usually, Brad and I sat beside each other, but once in a while, there wasn't a machine open or something. For some reason, Brad was playing someplace else, and I think I was playing $5 Deuces Wild. I was playing pretty high. I hit a royal. And of course, everybody was excited around me, you know, and somebody knew me as the frugal gambler, you know. And so he said, I'm going to go tell Brad you hit a royal. And I said, okay. So then after I got paid and everything, I kept playing on the same machine. And the man came back and he said, go tell Brad that you're not changing machines, that you should change to machines. And I said, well, you could go tell him, but is it going to make any difference? Because we don't necessarily change machines afterward. You could get a royal on the same machine. But he goes back and tells Brad, she's just on the same machine. I don't know what she thinks. Well, what happened is I hit another one on that one, proved him wrong. You
And
know,
he learned a big lesson too, didn't he?
we played side by side, and there were not many. Several times I remember that he would have a royal on his machine, and I would have, or at least a hand pay, maybe hand pay on mine and hand pay on his. The more you play and the longer you play, everything happens, you know, once or twice. Yes.
So I've never played $5 video poker, $1 as much as I've gone up. So $75 a hand, you know, that feels like a lot.
$25 a hand for
Oh,
$5.
25?
25.
Oh,
But we would play triple play.
so
Uh
75
there'd
would
be
be what I'm
$75.
yeah, 'cause I hate playing just one thing, that's boring to me. So it'd be 75 again for me. So what kind of bankroll really if I wanted to go in and play $75 a hand, realistically, what is my bankroll like? What should you shoot for?
I can't answer bankroll questions because it's all for the long term and everybody is different. You always need more than you think you will. That's all I could tell you. When I started playing that high, I had a $300,000 bankroll.
Okay.
I mean, you're really getting up there. I've lost 10,000 in a weekend
Been there,
when
done
we
that.
were at our highest.
And you need to expect to lose all that for playing like that, right? I mean, it can happen.
Yes,
So,
I've done it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I do want to mention, since I was talking about multi-line, if you think Dream Card is fun, and another thing that made video poker more fun early on is when it went to multi-line. We played anywhere. We started out with triple play, 3 lines, clear up to 100 play. And I have a story about that. We played 100 play, quarter 100 play a lot at the Palms Casino because we lived near the Palms.
Okay.
And Brad, this was a big moment. I was playing, and when we were playing real high money, we did play together to be sure that we didn't make a mistake in the strategy. If you make a mistake on 100 play, you're making it on 100 lines. So you don't want to do that. So we were taking turns. So I had played for a little while, and then I moved over, and Brad moved over to the machine. And on the first hand, he was dealt a royal on quarter 100 play. So a quarter royal is 1,000. So he had 1,000. So he had $100,000 jackpot.
Wow.
And it was all in hearts. And it was such a pretty, you had a whole screen full of tiny hearts because 100 play is going to be very small on the screen.
Yes. And so you're playing on a quarter, that's what, $25 a hand?
No, quarters is $1.20. That was $125
Hundred.
a hand.
Okay. Wow. Okay. But still, $100,000. Wow. That's pretty cool.
That was our second best thing. After that, 500,000 hit the 100,000. I played a lot of $5 triple play at one point, and this is an interesting hand. I was dealt a flush on 3 hands. It was $5, 25, so I was playing $75. But there was 4 to a royal. Now that's a tricky hand.
It is.
Am I going to throw away that big jackpot, but go for the biggest? And I threw them away, and to beat the odds, this is a far odds things, I got a royal on 2 out of the 3 hands.
Wow.
$5 royal is 20,000, so I got 40,000 on that one.
Wow. Gosh, I want to be you, Jean. I just want to be. I'm learning. I'm still taking notes. So it's so funny because when we were playing Dream Card in Tahoe, the Dream Card came up and I'm like, what is it telling me to hold? Like, why did it give me this Dream Card? So I put it into the machine and it was sure enough wanting me to go for a royal. I so wish I would have videoed this because I told Mike, I'm like, what are the chances this is going to happen again? And I hit the button and sure enough, there was the royal. I'm like, it happened again. It was crazy. So that's the reason you hold, but it is hard. I'm like, but you could have a guaranteed three of, you could two of a kind over here, jacks are better, but I'm going to go for this royal flush I'm probably not going to get. But sure enough, I got it and that made up. Right. So that's the reason you have those rules. So you're such a good record keeper. How many royals have you had total in your life? Do you know kind of? I think you have that.
Yes, I'll check with my notes. I've got notes right here because I knew you'd ask me that, and I forget it exactly. Now remember, Brad and I worked out a one bankroll from the very beginning of our relationship. And so if I got a royal, it went into the total, he got a royal. So together, and remember, he got 100. We had to count that as 100 royals. But the total in 40 years was 1,317.
Wow. Wow.
That's really not,
That much.
well, that's just kind of what you should have done for the time that we put in. Remember, that was for
Correct.
not quite 40 years. Now, I quit counting then since he didn't play, of course, the last few years when he had dementia. So I have gotten a few royals since then. I've gotten 2 royals on Dream Card. I've gotten a lot of 4 deuces. That's the big one on Deuces Wild.
So that's interesting. So that makes me feel even like our Tahoe trip was really good because we got 2 royals on the same trip. on Dream Card.
Well, you will get more royals on Dream
Card.
than you will on a regular thing. Yes.
Okay.
So I expect to get more proportionately than a non-Dream Card
Okay.
game.
So this is why we love casinos. So viewers, if you've ever hit a royal flush, share your story in the comments and let us know where you got that at. We'd love to hear those comments from you. So, Jean, moving on beyond the casino, before we wrap up, what do you love to do outside of gambling?
I just like to play games, I guess. That's what brought me into gambling. So now I play a lot of games. Here I live in a senior facility. I have an independent apartment, but it's for seniors. And we have a lot of games here in the lounge. But my main game, and I play Remy Cube. That's one of my favorite. But my very favorite that I've taken up because it makes me think of video poker, and I play Mahjong. Mahjong is kind of sweeping the country. It's a very complex game, but it needs a lot of study, just like I had. And I don't play. You can play Mahjong for money, but I don't. I just play in social groups. And that doesn't matter to me. I realize that I'm a very competitive person. Well, in fact, if you read my very first book, I talk about playing chutes and ladders when I was just a little girl with my family. And my family was big on Scrabble games and so forth. And we played Scrabble for blood, you know, and that's kind of the way I've been. People here, they don't even want to play bingo with me. And I said, listen, bingo is just chance. They said, I don't know, but you're just so competitive. You'll probably find a way to win it more than we do. So, Mahjong. And in fact, could have mentioned this, some of the trips I take now, particularly I go to where there's a Mahjong tournament and there's a casino. I can stay free in the casino. They've had two in Vegas that I've gone to, and I stay free in the casino, and then I play in a tournament. It's in the next casino down. You know, I stayed in Paris, yeah, and played in the tournament at Planet Hollywood. So that's the best of both worlds. I got the comps. Yeah. And of course, when I wasn't in the tournament, I could play Dream Card over at Paris. So that was my best vacation ever. That's plan to do it next March. That they have them in March.
So is Paris where you found the best Dream Card in Vegas?
Well, no, that's just where I discovered it. And I played it. I was staying there, and so I didn't need to look anyplace else. But when I went over to the tournament at Planet Hollywood, I found that there was Dream Card over there also. So
Okay. Okay. I'll have to check that out when we go next. So what's something people might not expect about you?
well, if you read my books and my blogs and my Facebook and so forth, you'll see my life is kind of an open book. Sometimes to my disadvantage, I mean, I just kind of tell it like it is. And if I say that I had that many royals, that's how many I had. I don't ever, so maybe you would expect that I was always an open book person. To answer that, I guess I'll just say I wasn't always a good girl. So I'm not going to open the book on my past.
Right. There you go. Okay. That fair enough. Fair enough. I love that. So for someone just starting with comps and casino play, what is your number one tip to summarize?
If you buy a book, the more you study, the luckier you will be.
There you go. That goes back to that teacher in you, but I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Research. I still do as much research now, and I don't even play much, but I'm always looking for my next advantage.
That's what's keeping your mind sharp. So, where can people find your books or connect with you online?
I have a Jean Scott Facebook page. Now, you can buy my books on the website, the LasVegasAdvisor.com. That's my publisher, LasVegasAdvisor.com, and go to their bookstore there. I suggest that that's the cheapest place because they put some of those, because they're older books, they put them on sale. But you can also go to Amazon. They may be just the price that's on the book. whereas the Las Vegas advisor may have cut the price down. Again, I'm always wanting to be frugal for you too.
That's
So
right.
buy them where they're cheapest.
So if you want to connect with Jean and follow along with her, she posts regularly on her Facebook and always gives good information. So I highly recommend that you do that. And then just to wrap up, Jean, before we close, is there anything else you'd like to share with your viewers? Any final thoughts or advice that you've had with this incredible 40-year journey?
I feel like I need to give you a warning. Some people get into trouble gambling. You need to be disciplined. If you aren't disciplined, if you go home and you've lost more money than you could afford, you've lost money that maybe was supposed to pay your rent or their mortgage payment or whatever, that is not going to make a fun entertainment memory. You have to know yourself. There are some people that just can't go into a casino, they have no self control. Do not take your ATM card to a casino unless you're highly disciplined.
Know your bankroll and stick to it.
Definitely.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to have regrets. Most of the time, it's going to disappoint you. So I
I've
love
seen I've seen gambling ruin families, ruin marriages, and it's sad.
very sad.
I've seen gambling people take their own lives. This is something serious. This is a disease if you have a gambling problem.
I think that's
Stay disciplined. Yes. I just want you to be careful and watch yourself.
that's right. Have fun, but be smart. Yeah,
Yes.
always play smart. I think that that's a great thing. Well, Jean, it
Yes.
has been truly a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for being such a guiding light to me and to so many of us. We've learned so much from you today, and I know our viewers have too. And I can't wait for the next one, hopefully in person. And
Yes. I would like to just take you into a casino and show you what I've been saying, So
that would be
that's good.
complete dream, complete dream come true. Hopefully, we can make that happen. So, viewers, smash that like button. If you've learned something new today, hit that subscribe button for more interviews like this. And I hope you enjoy tuning in to Destination Jackpot, where we are helping you turn points into perks, spins into sweets, and credit into cash. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.